tonight. The mother of an infant allegedly killed by his father speaks out after the conclusion of the trial. Also, the University of Regina strips Mary Ellen Turpel-Lafond of an honorary doctorate issued in 2003. Plus, getting creative, getting around in a winter city, we introduce you to the man behind the ski-daddle,
which gives me the freedom of mobility in the winter.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, February 13th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Canada's premiers are united. They have accepted the federal government's offer on healthcare funding, despite some hesitation. Premier Scott Moe says Saskatchewan is in no position to turn down the money. Moe spoke to reporters at the legislature before meeting with the other premiers by video. He says the new money would only amount to a 2% increase. The premiers were calling for an additional $28 billion annually in healthcare money from Ottawa. The deal falls far short of that. It amounts in total to about $46 billion in new funding over a 10-year period. Still, Moe says premiers couldn't turn it down.
It is a 2% lift, and I don't think anybody, at least Saskatchewan, isn't considering walking away from any increase in the healthcare space. It's all needed, and we do need to, look at how we are delivering healthcare, and are there better ways for us to ultimately deliver that healthcare, to shorten our surgical wait times, to open up access to everyone, so that they do have access to that primary healthcare provider.
Moe says his government plans to use the money to hire more healthcare staff and reduce surgical wait times. He wants the money sooner than later. As Rafi Boudjikanian reports, that urgency is why premiers agreed to the deal.
The day started with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau pressing his charm offensive in the Yukon while he tried to push his healthcare deal to provinces and territories.
We know how much of a priority that is for Canadians.
But the bigger conversation about the issue didn't involve him. It was the provincial and territorial premiers speaking together about what's on offer from Ottawa. $196 billion over the next decade, $46.2 billion of that in new money, far short of the Premier's ask. But today,
we will be accepting the money from the federal government, but also recognizing that this does not represent what is a long-term funding need for our healthcare systems across the country. We've accepted this for now, but we will move on to the bilateral agreements.
No point in dragging the feet. We're just interested in moving forward and getting on with making the investments in healthcare that will make healthcare more accessible for Nova Scotians and for Canadians.
Federal ministers met Tim Houston today. Those side deals a big focus.
We spoke about what matters to Nova Scotians, greater access to family medicine, reducing backlogs. We believe that there is a great momentum to come to agreements in principle quite quickly.
But with budgets from the federal government and provinces and territories around the corner, time is a factor to sign those individual deals in the coming days. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
This afternoon, the University of Regina announced it has revoked the honorary doctorate it gave to Mary Ellen Turpel-Lafond in 2003. For decades, Turpel-Lafond claimed to be a Treaty Indian of Cree ancestry. Last fall, a CBC investigation found that all the available evidence showed she was entirely European ancestry. Jeff Leo has the latest.
Turpel-Lafond built a successful career as a lawyer, a judge, and an academic, all while claiming to be Indigenous. She said she was Saskatchewan's first First Nations judge. She was also said to be Canada's first Indigenous law professor. But after CBC's report came out revealing that all the available evidence showed she was of entirely European ancestry, a group called the Indigenous Women's Collective started calling for consequences. They said it was wrong for Turpel-Lafond to claim honors and benefits for herself that rightfully belonged to genuine Indigenous people. So they called on the 11 universities that granted honorary degrees to Turpel-Lafond to revoke them. 2 of those universities in BC launched investigations, and in response, Turpel-Lafond returned her degrees to those institutions. Here in Saskatchewan, the University of Regina made its own decision to revoke the degree. A statement Monday afternoon, it said, quote, "While the university recognizes that Turpel-Lafond has been a strong advocate for Indigenous rights and child welfare, her accomplishments are outweighed by the harm inflicted upon Indigenous academics, peoples, and communities when non-Indigenous people misrepresent their Indigenous ancestry." Indigenous Women's Collective is calling on the other universities that have granted honorary doctorates to Turpel-Lafond to follow in the U of R's footsteps and revoke them. It's also calling on the Governor General to revoke her Order of Canada. Jeff Leo, CBC News, Regina.
Police are still searching for 3 suspects in a deadly home invasion in southeast Saskatchewan on Friday morning. Police say the men broke into a rural property near Round Lake, shot and killed a 34-year-old man, stole his guns and ammunition, then burned his vehicle. A woman who was injured in the attack has since been released from hospital. RCMP released sketches and descriptions of 3 suspects who they believe wore face coverings. They noted a few distinct features, including one suspect possibly having a lower stomach tattoo and a distinct mark on his left eyebrow. Another is believed to have a teardrop or arrow tattoo on the left side of his face. The RCMP did not issue an emergency alert on Friday, and today they said that was partly because they didn't have suspect or vehicle descriptions at the time. The manslaughter trial for Regina man accused of killing his 3-month-old son wrapped up today. The mother of the baby who died spoke outside court. Alexander Kwan reports.
I always wonder who he would have been, who he would have looked like,
Jodeci Spencer's heart-wrenching words about her 3-month-old son, Keenan, capped off a trial that was filled with emotional moments and many tears. On Monday, Spencer spoke with media for the first time since the trial of her former partner began. Catlin Goodwell is accused of causing the death of his 3-month-old son, Keenan Spencer, in October 2017. The defense and Crown presented their closing arguments to Justice Keith Kilback at the Court of King's bench in Regina on Monday. The 2 sides have presented 2 very different explanations for Keenan's death. The Crown called 2 pathologists who said Keenan died as a result of blunt force trauma. They were unable to definitively determine what caused that trauma, but said possibly a blow to the head or the shaking of the 3-month-old. In contrast, a pathologist called by the defense testified the baby died from pneumonia. In his closing argument, the defense lawyer argued Goodwell is presumed innocent and that the Crown has not proven the father's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The boy's mother testified early in the week and sat through the week-long trial. She said it has been a painful experience for her.
Just breaks my heart having to relive through all of this, having to relive through it the night my son passed away.
She's been grieving her son for more than 5 years. As for when the healing process will begin,
I think when the judge makes his decision, it'll be good for me and my family to start healing better and more.
Both sides have agreed that the evidence in this case is circumstantial, but the Crown stressed that the assault of a child will rarely take place in front of witnesses. Justice Keith Kilback said he would deliver his decision on March 16th. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
More affordable housing is coming to Regina. The federal government announced today more than $6.5 million from the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation that will go toward another 25 units. This comes after the city locked down nearly $8 million in federal money for 29 similar homes 2 summers ago. Those are currently being built on North Broad Street. People are expected to move in by September. Regina Treaty Status Indian Services, or RITSIS, will operate those units. As for these new ones, the mayor says the city has another month to review proposals. Those will determine where those new homes will be built and what organization will run them.
At the end of the day, it's whatever organization comes forward. The projects will be looked at based upon that criteria and their ability to build and get folks into affordable housing by the fall of 2024.
We will ensure that folks who need housing the most vulnerable members of our community, can get the housing that they need so that they build the life that they deserve.
The 25 new affordable housing units are slated to be move-in ready by November of next year. People living in Saskatoon will notice a new third cart rolling up to their homes this spring. Starting next month and through April, the City of Saskatoon is deploying green carts for food and yard waste.
The program will substantially cut down on the amount of garbage that's going to our landfill and may even eliminate the need to replace or build a new landfill at some point. Many people don't know that when organics are landfilled, because they are buried, they don't have access to oxygen, and so they don't decompose into compost. They actually turn into other products that, when mixed with rainwater, produce things called leachate. And they also give off methane, both of which can be very harmful to our environment and need to be managed, and that can be expensive to manage that. So our studies have shown that as much as 57% of what's being thrown away in our black carts can be composted.
Each cart will come with a green kitchen pail to collect organic material indoors. The carts will be emptied at Green Prairie Environmental, a third-party composting facility. A monthly average utility fee of $6.73 will appear on utility bills beginning in May. Residents are not able to opt out of it. The fee covers collection, composting, cart maintenance, education programs, and program management. Bi-weekly collection of these carts will also start in May. This is only for houses, though. Lemke says an organics plan for multi-unit buildings is coming in the future. CFL quarterback Cody Fajardo is bidding farewell to Rider Nation. Ahead of CFL free agency opening up tomorrow, Fajardo said his goodbyes to Saskatchewan in a tweet this morning. The 30-year-old thanked the fans for making him and his family feel like royalty. He wrote, quote, "I gave you everything I had, from the injuries to the blood, sweat, and tears. I laid it all on the line for this province. It's unfortunate it has to end this way and not with a parade and confetti. Thank you for taking me in as one of your own." Fajardo threw for 10,632 yards with 48 touchdowns and 32 interceptions in his time as starting QB for the Riders. After 3 seasons as a starter, the Riders moved him to the backup spot in the final 2 games of last season. 4 members of the Moose Jaw Warriors have been suspended indefinitely, including an Edmonton Oilers draft pick. The players include goalie Connor Unger, who was named the WHL's Goaltender of the Month in January, and Max Warner, a defenseman who signed a 3-year entry-level contract with the Oilers. Others include Lyndon Lakovic and Merrick Howell. The Western Hockey League says the junior players are being investigated for possible violations of team rules and the league's standards of conduct policies. Well, after a weekend of melting, it looks more like late March than early February outside today. This is how things looked in downtown Regina today. We are going to see the temperature take a dip this week into more seasonable temperatures, but it's not going to last very long. Ethan will have all the details in his forecast after the break. Stay with us.
This weather update is brought to you by the Capital Automotive Group. Trade and upgrade is on now.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. It's a tale of 2 weather stories in this province right now.
Yeah, that's right. We got warmth in the south. We got snow in the north, and some pretty significant snow over these last 48 hours. This last system in particular has been pretty potent, and we still have snowfall warnings in effect for along the eastern side of the north, as well as Key and Cree Lakes as well. By the time all is said and done, really in that area of the province, we're looking for anywhere between 10 and 20 centimeters of snow. That'll be kind of from last night through the day today until tomorrow morning. And again, not a lot of radar coverage in this area, so we can't really see the extent of the snow, but you can see even at this hour some bands moving across the border from Alberta, moving eastward, and a lot of cloud cover in that part of the province as well. That low pressure system creating a bit of a temperature contrast in the province, warm front out ahead of it, lots of warm air surging through southern Saskatchewan, and then the cold air behind it, which is really dropping temperatures, especially in the far north right now. But really at south and central, even at this hour, a lot of us still, almost all of us actually, above zero right now. We've been seeing that warm air for these last few days, but I think that's all about to come to a bit of an end over these next couple of days. It's been very windy though in some sections of the province, especially in central regions and kind of closer to that low pressure system, but I think those winds are going to pick up through the night tonight. And again, the temperature change, the winds picking up, that's all because of this low pressure system. We're looking for a temperature drop because of that cold front that's moving through central portions of the province. We could see some mixed precipitation in the Churchill region before temperatures drop overnight tonight. And then the snow is going to move out as we head through the wee hours of the morning. Cold front drops through most of the province as we head through the wee hours of tomorrow morning. That's going to leave some cloud cover in its wake. But after that, we're looking at high pressure moving in late tomorrow afternoon. So that's going to allow clouds to slide out, and then another area of high pressure moving in as we head through the day on Wednesday. So we will get some clearing over the next couple of days. In terms of that system moving through the north, I think we're looking for another 1 to 3 centimeters, especially again along that eastern side is where we're going to be seeing that. In Manitoba, I think is where they're now going to get the bulk of that snow as that system moves eastward. And as that cold front moves through the province, wind gusts are going to start to pick up. I think they're going to diminish through the north tonight, and then we'll see them pick up in central regions. Could be a very, very breezy morning in southern Saskatchewan tomorrow and through the afternoon as well, before those are going to move out through the day tomorrow. And on Wednesday, we should see more reasonable wind gusts after that. Regina, we are looking at mostly cloudy skies tomorrow, maybe a chance of a flurry here or there. Temperatures going to be colder than we've seen these last few days. In fact, bang on normal for this time of year. And then after that, the sunshine returns. Temperatures going to warm up before cloud cover comes back and the temperatures slide back down again. Saskatoon, again, a little below normal for this time of year, but I think you'll get mostly clear skies tomorrow with some breezy winds here and there. Could be upwards of 50 kilometers an hour before we see things return to normal. Some sunny conditions, some cloud cover. Those normals, Sam, they are continuing their climb, so we are getting warmer as we're heading through these next few weeks.
And later sunset.
Oh, isn't that nice?
It's so nice. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Maybe you tuned in for the Rihanna concert, as some were calling the Super Bowl halftime show last night. The singer from Barbados and mogul behind Fenty Beauty performed last night with all these dancers while pregnant with her second child. And for fans of the game, well, it was a nail-biter. The Kansas City Chiefs beat the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35 thanks to a game-winning field goal with just 8 seconds left. It gave KC their third Super Bowl in history. The team's quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, was named the game's most valuable player. We'll be back after the break. The Canadian Armed Forces are leading the effort to recover the unknown object, shot down over Yukon on Saturday. It's one of 3 objects detected flying over North America in as many days. Earlier this month, a suspected Chinese surveillance balloon drifted over Canada and the U.S. before it was shot down. Catherine Cullen reports.
The Yukon weather the Prime Minister is experiencing firsthand also makes for a challenging search.
This is a very serious situation that we are taking incredibly seriously. The importance of defending our territorial integrity, our sovereignty, has rarely been as important as it is now.
It's been 9 days since the United States shot down an object it identified as a Chinese surveillance balloon. It fell into the waters off the coast of South Carolina. Then, in the last 3 days, 3 more objects were shot down. Canada is handling the recovery effort in the Yukon.
Obviously, there is some sort of pattern in there. The fact that we are seeing this in a significant degree over the past week is a cause for interest and close attention.
American officials say that since that Chinese balloon was detected, they've adjusted their radar.
One of the reasons that we think we're seeing more is because we're looking for more.
But they are distinguishing these latest objects from the first, saying it doesn't appear that they were transmitting information or moving under their own power.
We know the first one was Chinese. They admitted it. They claimed it was a weather balloon. We know it's not. These 3, we don't have attribution for right now. We don't know who owns them. So I'm not going to take anybody's word at face value here.
In Parliament, there's pushback over whether Canada is prepared for foreign threats.
This government has failed to counter foreign interference, failed to stop funding of Beijing's military research, failed to upgrade NORAD's early warning system, and failed to acquire modern fighter jets. Does the government now understand how vulnerable this country is?
The government says yes.
Canada has acted and will continue to act swiftly and decisively to protect our safety and our sovereignty.
The Canadian Armed Forces and RCMP are searching for the object in the Yukon, but no one in Canada or the U.S. can say when any of these 3 latest objects might be recovered. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
And Ethan is back with one last look at your weather.
And it'll be a cloudy morning tomorrow in Regina, temperature at -7, winds picking up a little bit out of the northwest before we head into the afternoon. Still cloudy, temperature actually dropping a little bit as that cold front moves through, and that's going to make our winds still pretty breezy, around 50 kilometers an hour. Saskatoon, a little bit more sunshine, I think, for you tomorrow morning at -12, but going to feel a little bit colder because of the wind, and those winds will be sticking around as we head through the afternoon. And speaking of Saskatoon, we got this shot from Flow of these interesting clouds. These are called altocumulus undulatus clouds, and these are formed when there are different wind speeds and directions at different levels of the atmosphere. So there you go, Sam, another word to add to your vocabulary, altocumulus undulatus.
I will leave that to you, Ethan.
Putting that away now.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet.
And before we leave you tonight, getting around in winter can be tough, even if you're able-bodied. But a man in Saskatoon has created something to help him navigate snow and ice on his walker. We caught up with Duncan Myers to learn more about his ski-daddle.
I don't have to go and have a oil change or gas up or anything. I just go. This is the iciest day I've had all winter, and this is what, 3 months now. And this is the first day where even when it's moving, it doesn't really matter because the weight is evenly balanced, and of course I've got my own brakes because I've got the cleats on. I'm Duncan Myers, and I'm the creator of my ski-daddle, which gives me the freedom of mobility in the winter. So many people that have walkers can't get out at all unless they're using a car. And I just love to get the exercise. My regular wheel walker is useless in the snow because you just get stuck. And it just dawned on me when you see the little kids in the ice rinks, when they're learning to skate, they use those frames. And I thought, well, if I just get a regular walker frame and attach some skis, that will give me, you know, at least the freedom to move around. It's so important to stay active because since I had my stroke, it's so easy just to kind of become lazy and have an excuse not to do things. With winters being so long here, I just find it just makes it very enjoyable to be able to get out on a daily basis. So many other people could enjoy what I enjoy, and I'm always amused that when anybody sees me, I've even had people talking out of car windows and saying, where did you get that from? And I just say, well, I made it. My freedom in winter.
Such a great idea. That is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to CBC Saskatchewan's YouTube channel. Ethan will be back with more local news and weather tonight at 11. Thank you for watching and have a great night.